Hello, this is Dinah Lane for Channel 18, and I'm here today with the people from Harwich Conservation Trust, Michael Locke, the Executive Director, and Tyler Maycalf. And they're
Good
going to be,
morning.
yeah, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. We're well, thanks. You?
Very good. Little snow
Good.
today, so
Yes.
it's actually winter. So you have a couple of things that you'd like to talk about today, and I know we talked about one of them last time, but since then it is opened and it's your new trail, Pleasant Bay Woodlands. Who would like to start off with that?
Yeah, well, I'll start off with just a recap of the wonderful land acquisition that made that trail possible. So recall back in 2013 to 2015, folks really rallied behind this 49-acre Pleasant Bay Woodlands project. The goal of raising $3.6 million to acquire and preserve this very scenic, ecologically diverse, and critical watershed property, since it's entirely within the watershed to Pleasant Bay. At the time of contemplating this ambitious land saving project, it was the largest undeveloped, unprotected landscape in the entire 21,000 acre Pleasant Bay watershed, which we know is shared by Harwich, Orleans, Chatham, and Brewster. But folks from across the four towns in the watershed and beyond, businesses like Wequassett Resort, foundations, individuals, families, all together, donations large and small, every amount counted towards raising the land saving campaign goal and made that acquisition possible. And so we've been working on a number of stewardship initiatives on the property. And then we were really grateful to, as you pointed out, at the end of 2020, a very challenging year for so many, when we're also seeing a lot more people out on the land, looking for ways to connect in a safe way, looking for ways to connect with the beautiful nature around us here in this special corner of the Cape. We were glad to be able to open another trail destination, and we had a number of partners in that trail preparation, trailhead creation, parking lot creation, pardon me, that made that possible, including Town of Harwich Highway Department. Number of volunteers dedicated their time and energy to HCT, AmeriCorps. And Tyler, you were out there working day after day, really moving this trail access project forward. We were lucky to have so much support.
Yeah, we certainly were. We worked, well, we've been working on the property for several years, doing some habitat management work there. And then over the past year, we've worked quite a bit on the trail system, and we were able to open up the approximately 1 mile trail system back in December.
It's great timing, really great timing. As you say,
Yeah.
Mike, people wanting to be connected more with nature and wanting to connect safely with each other in nature. It was really wonderful to have that beautiful new vista opened up. So you had an opening, right? You had some kind of an opening event.
We did, yes.
Great. And you've had lots and lots of activity there since.
We certainly have. Yeah, we've had consistent visitation day in, day out. Anecdotally, we can get a feel for how many people are visiting based on how many trail guides disappear over time. Yeah, we know that people are enjoying it a lot.
Yes.
So the trail visits a diversity of habitats throughout the property. From the parking area, you can either walk off into a pine oak forest, which is somewhat typical of most of Harwich. One of the interesting things about the woods on this particular property is there's a strong component of white pine, which we don't find everywhere in Harwich. You can also walk down a old cartway, and off to the east, you'll see an area that is being managed and restored as shrubland and grassland habitat. So that's about 4 acres of land there, which we've been continuously working on to remove invasive species and restore these important early successional habitats which provide a lot of food for wildlife and a lot of flowers for pollinators. From there, you walk further south and along the edge of a privately owned cranberry bog. And then you can head off into the woods again. And also visit the trail as it ascends rather steeply along a power line right of way, which is also an important habitat for pollinators. Yes.
Well, it is beautiful. I have been over there since the opening, and it really is a fabulous place. And I see evidence of all the work that you've been doing too. It's very clear.
Yeah.
The invasives are invasive. What can you say? Just have to keep at it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, Tyler.
Okay. Yeah. That particular area that we've been focusing our management on is dominated by a handful of invasive plant species, including black locust and border privet, which are listed as by the state as being invasive plants. They're non-native to the area, and they tend to exclude other plants that are native and that are co-evolved with all our native species. So they offer relatively little value in terms of food for wildlife, etc.
Yeah. It's interesting because so many things that we take for granted turn out to be invasives. And I think that's true for a lot of people, that we are not as aware, of course, as you are. And it's great that you're tending to it and making sure that the environment is supported by doing what you need to do. Because a lot of these things have just been around forever. The black locust, for instance.
Yep.
Unless one is very, or privet too, for that matter. Anyway, it's great work that you're doing. So
thank you.
Terrific. So in the last few minutes, Mike, would you like to talk a little bit about the Jenkins property?
Yes.
Okay.
So very exciting. There's a property that many are familiar with as they drive by on Pleasant Lake Ave, also called Route 124, as it crosses in front of the entrance to the Cape Cod Tech Regional Vocational School there. And you look off to the east and you look across a cranberry bog, and then the Cape Cod Rail Trail bike path, and then Hinckley's Pond beyond. Well, Fred and Barbara Jenkins have owned that property for, 23 plus years. Fred and his father acquired that property, over 2 decades ago. About 31 acres. Including about 18.5 acres of bog, and the Jenkins family, they're a 5th generation cranberry farming family. They also have acreage in West Barnstable, and like many growers, they're feeling the economic pressure with an oversupply of cranberries on the market from other regions like the Midwest, Canada, and elsewhere. It's really been driving down prices. It's really been hard for cranberry growers to continue in the industry, and many over the past several years in particular, have been looking for ways to exit the market. So there are options at that time when they're looking to transition out of the cranberry farming industry or to sell their developable upland, on the market, on the open market, or consider selling to local land trusts or towns to preserve those lands, both the upland and the retiring cranberry bogs. They make wonderful destinations for walking trails. They create opportunities for enhancing habitat diversity, protecting water quality. All of these aspects are true of the Jenkins property. The Jenkins family have been looking for an opportunity to transition out of the industry. And so Harwich Conservation Trust, in partnership with the town of Harwich, is working toward a proposal to purchase the 31 acres from the Jenkins family, with the goals of protecting the water quality of Hinckley's Pond. This property is almost entirely within the watershed to Hinckley's Pond. That means it's also almost entirely within the watershed, or it is entirely within the watershed to the Herring River, right? We have a herring spawning pond right there in Hinckley's Pond, connected to two others to the north through herring runs, one to Seymour's Pond, one to Long Pond being the largest pond on the Cape. So very important for migrating river herring. Hinckley's Pond being the main source water flowing into the Herring River. So very important for water quality protection purposes. Also scenic value. We've got the roughly 25-mile Cape Cod Rail Trail traveling right through this property, offering views of that forested upland along Headwaters Drive. We want to preserve that view for folks that are enjoying that Cape Cod Rail Trail. Many folks here in town, of course, visitors from all over enjoying the Cape Cod Rail Trail experience, biking, walking, jogging, all sorts of wonderful outdoor activities made possible by the rail trail. And eventually, allowing open to the public a whole new walking trail destination right there at the corner of Headwaters Drive and Pleasant Lake Ave. And there's also an aspiration for perhaps an outdoor classroom type of experience for the Cape Tech students, since it's right out their front door. And Monomoy Regional High School isn't far away either. So there could be opportunities for some hands-on learning out in the field and in the open air, maybe soil studies, water quality studies. So there's some opportunities there to explore with the school districts long term. But one of the things you might have seen in the paper is that most recently the Town Community Preservation Committee in Harwich voted its approval of a funding proposal to help contribute to the hoped for purchase of the land. So on January 28th, the Community Preservation Committee endorsed an application by the Town Real Estate and Open Space Committee to have voters in May consider supporting an open space funding article through the Community Preservation Fund for $360,000 toward the proposed purchase of $732,500 of the 31 acres. So voters in May will have that opportunity. And I think it's really an opportunity to create a lasting local difference, especially at that, very traveled and frequented area by so many.
Well, as you say, it affects so many things. It affects so much of our water, for one thing. But there are all good reasons to preserve it. So I really hope that the town will continue to support it through the town meeting, and we shall see. And I think there's more fundraising to be done, right?
There is, and here's another item. We could pick this up another time. What we're engaging in right now is a study for the feasibility of an ecological restoration project of the retired bogs. So the Jenkins had their last harvest. They chose to have their last harvest in October. So they were officially retiring the agriculture aspect of those bogs. And so now we're looking at what the next chapter will look like.
Yes.
We have extensive experience in studying the planning stage of ecological restoration at the Coldbrook Preserve, the Robert F. Coldbrook Preserve
Yes.
in Harwich Port. So we've learned a lot from that process, and we're applying what we've learned to studying the feasibility of ecological restoration at the Jenkins site. So we hope to have a feasibility study completed by probably early April. And that'll inform how we bring back some of the naturally occurring wetland habitats at the Jenkins site.
Well, great. It's, as always, a wonderful effort, and I'm sure it would benefit the town of Harwich enormously. So.
And you mentioned, I should add, you mentioned fundraising opportunity. You are right.
Right. And
So,
I'm thinking you may wait for the vote in May.
yes, right, because
yes,
yeah, the total project budget is 800,000. So if voters, vote favorably in May, that'll be 360,000. And then we'll be raising the balance. People can learn more about the project and see a great aerial photo taken by our volunteer photographer, Jerry Beetham. They can visit our website, harwichconservationtrust.org, and we're glad to answer any other questions.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, well, I think that's all the time we have today, but it's really great always to hear from you, both of you, and to hear all the great things that you're doing for the town of Harwich. It's a wonderful thing. And it's exciting at this time too, as you say, when everyone wants to be outside in nature, to know that so much is being done to preserve it for us all. So thank you very much for your work, and hope to talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Dinah.
Thank you, Dinah.
Enjoy the winter.
You too.
Yep.
Yeah, you too.
This is Dinah Lane for Channel 18. Thank you so much.